Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Rhodes. Senator Cotton, please.
On behalf of all Arkansans, I also want to express my condolences for the soldiers whose lives were lost in the crash of 2 Black Hawk helicopters near Fort Campbell overnight. It's a terrible tragedy for all their families and the 101st community. And if you've served time there, as I know General McConville has served more than a day or two at Fort Campbell, it's especially hard-hitting. And General McConville, I want to add my thanks and congratulations to you for a highly distinguished and decorated career of service to the Army. I know you're not retiring yet, and you'll run through the tape later this year, but we're very grateful for what you've done for our country, and we're glad that in the middle of a recruiting crisis, we're getting a 4-for-1 McConville trade. We may be losing you, but we've got 3 children and 1 in-law, so thank you and your family for your service. Secretary Wormuth, I want to talk about the Army Combat Fitness Test and this ongoing years-long saga of that. Last year, the Army unveiled gender-based standards after many years of promising gender-neutral standards. As a result, this committee directed the Army within 180 days of the enactment of last year's NDA to promulgate new gender-neutral standards for combat arms, MOSs. What is the status of those new standards?
Thank you, Senator. We're looking forward to coming to brief you in June about where we are on that NDAA requirement. And I know you and the chief had a discussion about this. The language in the bill, as you know, talks about gender-neutral standards for combat military occupational specialties, and we'll be able to lay out for you how we've approached that to date. We also, as you know, are coming up on the deadline for the active duty component to finish taking the test for record, the Army Combat Fitness Test. The Guard and Reserve folks have until October to take that test for record, but we can also give you an update on the data that we're seeing from that and what we can take away from that and what we can learn in terms of how we might adapt the ACFT going forward.
So the law called on the Army to establish the standards by June, not to brief Congress by June. Are you prepared to meet that requirement to establish the standards?
We actually have standards in a DA-PAM that lay out requirements for all of the combat MOSs that are gender neutral, and we can brief you on those.
Can you tell us what those combat MOSs are today, or what branches at least?
I believe that we have them for all of the MOSs, Senator.
Okay. But it's your understanding that the expectation of this committee is that we have a single standard for the combat arms branches, and then for all the other non-combat arms branches, there be a male and a female standard?
These are, as I have read the law that you all put in last year, these are standards, they're physical gender-neutral standards for combat military occupational specialties, yes.
Yes, because I mean, and I wasn't the only one. I mean, Senators Ernst and Gillibrand and Duckworth expressed concerns about this as well, as did most of the committee. I mean, when you're talking about things like the infantry, there's irreducible physical demands. You have to be able to carry a 75 or 100-pound pack or carry a 250-pound wounded comrade, whether you're a man or a woman. Or if you're in artillery or armor, you have to be able to handle shells that can weigh up to 100 pounds. Those standards we all think should be somewhat different if you're, say, working on a computer. That work is very vital, but it's not the same kind of physical demands that the combat arms are. And in the middle of a recruiting crisis, I don't think we should be taking steps to dissuade anyone, young men or young women, who may not be up to the physical rigors of armor and artillery, but are able to perform all those other roles. That's your understanding of what this Congress intended, right?
Senator, the DA-PAM spells out exactly those kinds of things. I think the issue has been, you know, there's our combat, there's the fitness test, and then there are the standards for the MOSs, and there's a distinction there.
Correct. I mean, this has been a long saga, as I said. In retrospect, I mean, you know, we had an Army that, let's see, toppled a Marxist government in Grenada, toppled a narco government in Panama, kicked Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait, toppled the Taliban, toppled Saddam Hussein doing push-up, sit-ups, and 2-mile run. So I think those guys were pretty physically fit that did all those things. But we are where we are. We've moved to the combat fitness test. I don't think the issue are the events on it. The issue is making sure that we have high standards that are suited for the demands of the battlefield. And we just want to make sure that that's what we're going to get from the Army by the 180-day deadline.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cotton. Senator Kane, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to our witnesses, thank you for your service to the country. I add my sentiment to those who have expressed just sorrow over the incident with the